Elvin, very
Yep.
nice to meet you.
Likewise.
Thank you very much. I understand that you are from France.
Exactly. This is like the accent that gives it away.
It gave me, well, the thing is, you can't jump to conclusions. Another friend of mine's from Belgium,
Yeah.
and his accent's exactly the same as yours.
Probably, yeah.
I've got past the point of assuming where people are from because I've made a fool of myself many a times.
It's a good way of thinking.
There you go. So, Elvin, you are an industrial designer.
Originally, yes.
Originally, yes.
Yeah.
So, what are you doing now?
Now,
Yes.
it's really hard to explain because it's a bit of everything. So I'm working in a design agency called Ride, and I am taking care of what I kind of like made the title by myself. So somehow it sounds really bad, but it is true. I do like product look and feel and strategy, which means like with my background, which is industrial product, industrial design.
Yes.
I did colors and graphics. I did apparel. I did a bit of like brand strategy as well. So therefore, I try to make sure that the brand have the right product with the right look, with the right haptics, colors, materials, but also that fit in their lineup. So it's a bit a mix of everything, and which kind of like accessories you have with, which kind of gear that you wear. So in the two-wheel world, right? But that's a bit this mix, and we come from this like placement to the definition to the design, and yes, that's it.
Wow, cool. So you, as I understand it, you've done a lot of different things before.
Yeah.
You studied industrial design.
Yeah, first industrial design in Brittany, in France, then in Paris.
Yes.
Then transportation in Montreal, in Canada.
Oh, so you did study transportation.
Yeah,
as well,
it was like a special. It was called transportation and equipment.
Yes.
And so.
Sorry, I have to rudely interrupt you there and ask you a question quickly about the French that they speak in Montreal.
Yeah.
Is it true that they speak a much more primitive? It's not. Okay, I'm probably going to offend some people, and I don't want to, but there's no kind way of asking this. But is it true that they speak a primitive version of French because the French, I don't know.
So I will not call it primitive in a way, but so the French that we have in Europe was like influenced by so many other languages, that it became what it is today, right? And somehow the Belgian French and the Swiss French is also a bit different by itself, you know?
Okay.
So see that and another kind of French that was locked between English speaking only.
Yes.
So because we had Italian, we had like Spanish English, like German,
Yeah.
And so they got locked with this English. So some of the words just didn't evolve and stayed the same. That like some centuries ago.
Yes.
Some were completely derived from English. Some were translated. It's like it's just another type of French.
That's what I was going to say. Like, it's not an offensive way to say that maybe the French that they were speaking over in Montreal has not evolved. But it was Europeans that went over there like hundreds of years ago, right? So
like
it's
2,000 years ago.
There you go. There you go. Anyway, we can move on from that now. We're back on design. Okay. So you were in Montreal studying automotive.
Yeah, Montreal, it was not automotive. It was like, they call it like transportation and equipment. So it was a bit broader program. It was like a kind of specific program. What was cool in Canada is like a lot of people take classes in the evening. So they have their job, right? And they take on top classes to get more diploma or higher just university
That's
status.
big in the States as well.
Yes, as
right?
well, yeah.
Yes.
And so my class was only in the evening, and it was normally a 2-year program that I did in 1 year because I just to do it. And then came back in France when the 2008 crisis hit. you know?
Yeah.
And there was like no job for junior designer, like
Dude,
zero.
I was there. I finished in 2009. I talk about it all the time, so I'm not going to bore everybody with
Yeah.
that. But I was there as well. It took me 2 years.
Yeah, and that's why, like, after a year of like working as a kind of freelance graphic designer, doing some product design contest, I was like, this is going nowhere. And so I joined actually in Paris this school called Strat College.
Yes.
Yeah, and they had a program of 3D and clay modeling.
Okay.
And I was like, actually, would be cool to know that as well. You know, I know the industrial design part, so it would be cool to know that. And it was in 3 years, and I joined the last year. And I got the diploma after a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you basically graduated with 2 degrees, or?
Yeah, so I have 3 degrees in total. 3
What a
degrees.
savage.
Yeah, like I have one in Brittany, product design, then the one in Montreal, and then one in Paris. Yeah. And I kind of hijacked my way through the diploma.
Wow.
By using credits to jump from one to the other. And,
Did you ever feel like maybe not lost, but kind of unsure of where to go next because you had all these different kind of skill sets, or was it always to keep your eye on the prize of being a designer?
100%. I mean, there was like, even when I started design, I didn't know that I would start design somehow, you know?
Okay.
Like my backup was law school.
Law school?
Yeah.
Jesus.
So I just was happy to start like this kind of applied art year that kicked me into the design, you know?
Yes.
And no, I was like, yeah, okay, product design seems cool. At the time, I remember, it's like this is 20 years ago.
Yes.
You had star product designer. Remember?
Yeah.
There was like, you had these guys like
Mark
Ohio,
Newson,
like
Ross Lovegrove.
Steven Stark was still there.
Stark,
know,
Philippe Stark, yeah. Dude, he was, yeah.
Jonathan Hive.
Jonathan Ive as well, yeah.
And so you had that in mind, you know, but they kind of like, you know, they disappeared. There is no star product designer.
Yeah, what happened to him? He was massive. Like, I remember he was, like, for me, the 2 guys were him and Mark Newson. Yeah.
And so going through the thing, I was like, hey, product design. Then I went to Paris, and it was cool, but not really what I was looking for. Like Brittany, Paris a bit first, in like, it was this kind of product design school. Then Montreal, I was like, can specialize myself a bit into this area of like transportation, could be interesting. And then crisis, and then I was like, oh, maybe it's good that I know the full process.
Wow.
And, you know, because then I can either do things by myself, or I can just exchange one-to-one with like modelers as well, so we really understand each other. So I was like, okay, I do this diploma. And going out of this, I was like, I think I will work for a small entity, a small company, because I can do a bit of everything. So I think I will be useful there. And actually, I got hired by the, like as a first intern, then like fixed freelance basis by Dassault Systems that own like Katia, SolidWorks, and everything.
And ISOM as well.
Yeah, exactly. And a big thing in the modeling world.
Yes.
So I learned all this program. And there I was in the marketing department of Katia. And my role was just to produce cool design to showcase what we can do. And you know, all these like cool renderings that they show?
Yeah.
There is designers behind.
Well, I mean, I know that, like, for example, with Autodesk, in the past, I don't know what they're doing now, but in the past, they would just see something that they like online, and they would contact the designer and say, can we use that for the new version of Alias, for example?
No, like Katia, they had their own team.
I hope that Autodesk are doing the same thing, because those fuckers are making a hell of a lot of money.
Yes. No, they were number one. He was the main competitor,
Yeah.
And then what was super cool there is like Dassault System being really big and being in all continents. You know, we had like meetings like early morning with like Japan until late evening with Los Angeles, you know.
Wow.
And so we had to train the sales rep how to reproduce the design and the modeling in front of the client.
No.
Yeah. So
really?
Yeah. And I was specialized in Imagine and Shape, you know. There was like this first thing like node modeling.
Yes.
And with like the first sketch gestures that they put in as well. So this was like super interesting.
And how did the marketing guys get on along with modeling?
With all the what? Sorry?
The marketing guys that you had to, how did they do? Like, did they do okay? Like in front of the client, modeling stuff?
Yeah. It's like all sales rep were like ex-engineer or thing like this, so they have kind of this training. Okay. Yeah, no problem.
Wow, interesting.
No, that was super cool.
So after and after working for them, you did what?
So at the time they were trying to expand and to bring Katia because Katia is so like powerful tool but so expensive, and they were trying with the new
how much is it as expensive as Helias?
I don't know, even more probably.
No, it can't be really.
But, because you buy it with like you have different like work, like tool work segments, and you buy it per work segment. So it's like if you have the complete version, it's 50, 60K or something like this.
But then you own it, or is that like a subscription base?
I think. With the
irrelevant. Sorry,
exactly.
It doesn't matter. Okay, well, I'll shut
up. Actually, it changed it a lot. I have no clue anymore.
Okay.
But they were trying to broad up a bit their users, their customer base, and they were talking with Kiska at the time, and I've met at the time that was Sébastien Stassin and another senior designer, Alexandre Rossier. In the designers' night in Paris after the automotive fair.
Yes.
And we said like they were interested of trying Katia, and for like 6 months we're trying to make it happen. Like that, I go there, train some people, and it was taking too long. And one day I saw like a job ad, and it was like a digital. I think one was product designer, the other one was digital modeler, and I replied to both. Got contacted, and they say, so
which one do you want?
After I think I sent some things 2 days ago, I got like, you want a Skype call? I was like, yeah, sure. And they were like, so what would you do really? And I tried to explain a bit. They say, you're more like a designer, you're more like a modeler. I was just like, I'm kind of like in between. And this is where actually they say, okay, come. And in a month, I was there,
Wow, in beautiful Salzburg.
Yeah. No, but from Paris is quite a shock at first.
Yeah, no, I bet. Yeah.
And
it's cleaner for one, huh?
First it's cleaner, but there is way less things to do.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it is. Yes.
But I mean, that was great. Like life balance. Where like I started to do a really lot of sports, and and you go outside a lot more, and so.
I have to say, when I was there, I really, it felt really good. I mean, it felt really healthy. That people are like super passionate and they're really into what they do, but at the same time, they'll go and they'll take a 2 or 3 hour lunch and go and hike up in the mountains or surf on the standing wave or go kayaking or whatever.
You're influenced by the Austrians. The Austrians are machines, sport machine.
Yes,
this guy is so fit. This is the fittest I've ever seen.
Yeah, I kind of wish I'd spent some time there because maybe I wouldn't be so fat and I could be more active.
Yeah, like I left Salzburg and now I'm taking weight. That's the thing. So like joined there. And we were 2 what we call digital designer at the time. So that was like designers that could do like end design and modeling. And yes, somehow after like some month we saw that it didn't fit into the whole like Kiska structure.
Yes.
Which is like designers there, modeler. I mean they all sit together, right? You saw that.
Yes.
But like designers there, modelers there, Claire there, and so they asked us to choose like a path, And they like the other guy took modeling, and me I said like they do like graphics and clothes there. It looks pretty cool, and apparel like motorcycle gear. And they say yeah, sure you can go.
So that's how you ended up in apparel.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And getting into apparel at first, was this just like I'll just explain, like if I was in that situation, I would probably be not freaking out, but thinking like, I really like the idea of doing that,
Yeah.
but I'm kind of a little bit nervous. Like, is it something that I can do? Were you just excited to go and try it, or?
I was when I joined Kiska. I think I was riding motorcycles since 8 years, and even before had like scooters and moped and everything. And I was already like, my wardrobe had so much motorcycle equipment already.
Ah, okay.
I was already like obsessed with that, and looking for the last thing, and how did they do this thing and this fabric, and you know, at the time Dainese was up there. You know, they were the god of equipment.
Who?
Dainese.
Dainese, okay, yes,
yeah.
yes.
And so so I just jumped on the opportunity. I was like, yes, of course I want to make it.
Yeah.
And at the time, you know, like it was a really small collection, and also the clothes for KTM were not were not great. You know, the range was really like sad, and
So you
and
saw
we-
like quite clearly what you could do to improve
yeah. I
it,
mean, there was massive potential. You know, it was a bit more like a side gig. Now, clothing for the KTM group is huge.
Yeah, it's huge. It's insane. Yeah.
But at the time, it was like a small thing on the side, and it was just to make like customer happy,
Yeah.
and that they buy something. But it was not like some product management behind. It was no like some, you know, it was not that advanced at all. It was really the beginning. It was like about maybe free gear and free helmets, and that's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then after that,
So
you were
this-
there, but you were there for a while, right? You
No,
were-
so yeah, like so this was mixed. So it was like color graphics
Yes.
and apparel at the same time. So working on the motorcycle and working on the apparel.
Wow.
And that was super cool because a motorcycle is only complete with someone on it.
Yes.
And if somehow it doesn't fit, something is wrong, you know.
Yes.
So the capacity to design and the graphics and the color of the motorcycle and the clothes, the style, the helmet, the graphic on the helmet, the color, the fabric, is like you create this holistic look and feel
Right.
complete product.
Are you talking as well about the rider completing the silhouette of the vehicle?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And so that was just like really good, yeah. So we did that for a while until the two, like I learned a lot there. I had like one of my, I had a hyper passionate senior designer at the time called Pierce Spencer Phillip. He's now a high bike, and he was like hyper passionate there. So it was like, it was, you know, hard to follow, but like so much like input.
Yeah.
And so I learned a lot, and also I find like a nice colleague, a French guy called like Maxime Touzenin. That was
I've heard about this guy,
that
yes.
came to become the lead of like the Husqvarna motorcycle within the Kiska, and so we kind of like pair together to like launch this brand, him taking off the bike, me taking care of colors and graphics and the new apparel line of Husqvarna and how it goes. So this was like great. And then we I think at one point I was like also leading the apparel team completely. And the thing is, at one point I burned out. You know, it was just like
Too much.
too much. I think it was just like, it was so exciting, you know, that you forget the rest
Yes.
of your life.
Yeah.
And then when you catch back, you know, you're just like,
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
So I took a break, like about 3-4 months, and then I came back, still at Kiska. I was doing a bit of brand strategy until I was called back in colors and graphics, because then like the two entities separated, apparel on one side, color graphics on the other side, and I ended up leading the department.
Wow.
At the end. This was until like 1.5 years ago.
So wow. But it was quite a long time.
Yeah,
then.
11 years in total.
Wow,
Yeah.
Jesus. I've not been in a job 11 years. I don't even think I've been in a job half that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I planned to stay 5 years originally. But this is what's great at Kiska. Is like you have like lot of opportunity.
Especially now,
things.
right? Because I
Yeah.
don't think it was always quite as... Dude, I couldn't believe the stuff that was happening there. The amount of stuff. It was crazy.
No, it is. It's huge. It's a machine. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's insane. And now
So like a year ago, like March last year, I stopped with no plan, really. I just wanted a break. Was also needed some like family time,
Do you have kids?
I have one daughter, yes, but also my father was like now deceased, was sick at the time, and so I say, okay, I take time for my family, no plan. Come home, come back in Brittany, take back of like the ocean, like fresh air, like this. And I just like started to chat with my ex-design director, which is called Craig Dent.
I heard of him as well. Yeah.
And he 1 year prior to me, he resigned as well. Also, at the end of his journey, I think that was the good thing. Like many of us started more or less at the same time. We did a good 11, 12 years all together, and then we arrive at the end of the journey. And we say, like, okay, what's next, And he decided to create his own entity, called Ride, and also like a design consultancy. And it was like super, super fresh, like 6 months old at the time. And we started to talk, and he was like, I would love you to come.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, I didn't, like, my flat is not is still in Salzburg for now. I didn't quit anything.
But
so
are they not in Salzburg?
Yes.
They are. Okay.
Yes, they are. It's called a place called the Panzerhalle. It's a tank storage.
Cool.
Yeah, and there is a lot of companies and startups, like a bit of a hub, like really super nice things. But what's super interesting is like the way like of Craig works is like super empowering, sharing responsibility, and he lets really do us our own thing, He's like he's the CEO, but he's not our boss.
Yes, yeah.
And so it's like really more like people culture centric. We just all bring our own stuff, our own rhythm. We do whatever we think is right to do.
Yeah.
And so me, I'm like more based in Munich. So I'm just chipping in once a week or once every 2 weeks at work.
So they've got two premises then?
No, I'm like remote somehow.
Okay.
Yeah, and we have also another guy in UK, also remote.
Jesus.
And this is cool because during the pandemic, what we learned is all these tools that allow you to have a remote team.
Yeah.
And how to work together.
Right.
And it works brilliantly.
Yeah, it can really work brilliantly.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
you did some.
Yeah, so
Alan,
we've
right?
just myself and my good friend Alan DeRosier, who you know as well.
Yes.
Also from Brittany
Exactly.
as well. Myself and him have just done a race car together, and we spent 5 months, and he was in France, I was here in Germany, and there was a company in Austria that was building the car, and then we were working with engineers and 3D printing companies and the build as well in multiple states in the US. So the car was originally built in Austria. They've just shipped it over to. It arrived in California, I think maybe a month ago. They're busy testing it right now as we speak, and they're busy assembling all our beautiful bodywork and
remote
and parts, and everything was done remote.
Yeah.
And we were so aligned. But that's the thing, and it was a super small team. There was like maybe six of us, but there was mainly on a day-to-day basis. It was basically me, Alan, and another engineer.
Yeah.
And everybody was available all the time, and that also can lead to burnout, I'm sure. Like, we were finished at the end of it, but I mean, the results are incredible, and everything works, touch wood, and and I guess this is what you guys have experienced as well.
Yeah, and this is cool thing, like you have like at least so many tools, like we use like this is kind of blank space, like one is called Miro, for example, where you drop your design there, where you can all connect on it. You can sketch directly on it to show what you mean for design feedback. I mean, you can create presentation within this program all together. I mean, this is like really amazing there.
Yes.
It like goes so fast as well. And what also Ride is using a lot is virtual reality with
Okay.
Gravity Sketch.
Yeah, that was something else as well, which
Yeah.
is really, really interesting.
Yeah,
but
and so I mean, last time that I checked Gravity Sketch was, like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and I was seeing people doing like weird doodles there.
yeah, with like thick rope.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
But now I was like
Yeah,
shocked
yeah,
by
it's-
the level.
yeah, it's impressive.
It's
Yeah, yeah.
really good, and
Yes.
how fast they can create iteration of one design
Yeah,
within this space. What we do now, we have a client, we ship them a helmet, an Oculus,
yes,
and it's like with all the instruction, and they connect and they join the design meeting.
yeah.
Shoulder view where they give their feedback on the design and everything. It's like
Yeah.
it's really impressive, yeah.
Yeah, it's super impressive. I mean, I look personally, I'm not a big fan of necessarily working in VR.
Yeah.
But I have to say, when I was sent a headset as well from, I think, yeah, it must have been somebody from Gravity Sketch, and we were basically building a car together, and it was, I mean, very impressive. It's mind blowing. And what the cool thing as well is, like, for example, in VR, when you've got, like, say for example, 3 different themes, when you switch between the different themes, you can land on the same
Yes.
point every single
Yeah.
time. So even if you had 3 physical models,
Yeah.
you wouldn't necessarily. You think you're looking at the same thing, and you technically are, but you're not looking at the same corner and the same view from the same perspective. And
Yeah.
that's what's really good about VR.
It is, and I mean, also what I'm really curious, and I'm start to looking into this as well, is like for example the Unreal Engine.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
all these like automatic like rendering, perfect lights, situation. Like, I mean, this. I love where we're going there.
Yeah,
Actually.
it's mind blowing. It's absolutely mind blowing. I have to say, for me personally, I'm a bit of a technophobe, so I get like overwhelmed with like going like, you can do this and you can do that and you can do that and whatever, and I'm like, yeah, it's just too much for me. Like, I'm building stuff and that and I use Alias and that's great, but you see some of the results and the real time like results, and it's unbelievable. That said, as well, like one of my favorite visualization artists who did the car that we've just worked on now, a guy called Color Sponge, I don't think he uses Unreal. He uses another set of tools. And also like ray tracing stuff, and it's like, for me, it's subjective obviously, but for me what he does is like the best in the world, and he's like by far my favorite artist. And I think that what he does is it's as a result of processes and tool sets that he's learned. I'm sure he's probably played around with Unreal, and I'm not knocking it because it's an incredible tool. But for I've just realized as well that there's some people that are great, that are jumping from program to program and different technology and really get a lot out of it. I'm the kind of brain dead idiot that it will take me too long to get into to really get the most out of it, and I kind of go, yeah, no.
Or we're just getting old.
That's probably it as well. Yeah, I noticed as well. I've got young kids, and when we came to Germany, I'm going off on a tangent now, but we've been in Germany for probably about since 2015, so 8 years, and my German is still terrible, and I was like, yeah, no, when my daughter goes to kindergarten, I'll like learn with her. We threw her in. 3 months later, she had nothing. 3 months later, she's speaking fluently. Like, it's a game for them. Like, their brain is like a sponge, and it's a joke. Like, it's no problem. I still can't speak German. So, yeah, it's probably me as well, and getting old for sure.
I will not throw you anything there. My German is all right, but after 11 years, it's a bit of a shame still.
Yeah, no, it is. But in all fairness, I need to go for lessons. I haven't taken any lessons, and I was a bit arrogant thinking like, I'll just pick it up in like, a few months. But it didn't work that way. So anyway, back to, technology and.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think this is what we create right now in this design studio. is this like this seamless flow of like work with the client. I think this is what it worked so
Yes,
well, right?
yes.
Because we left like a big corporation, still
Yeah.
we joined something super small
Yes.
on purpose to get closer to like client as well. You know, you don't have like an army of project manager and account manager in
Yes,
between. You
yes.
just chat with the
Yes.
client.
Yeah.
And and um, and before, you know, the best thing that you could have is put a piece of paper and sketch something to understand. But the capacity that now we have to emerge a client within this world and to show him like real,
It's really
more
powerful.
real
Yeah.
what his product will be
Yeah.
is like
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
banging.
Yeah, well, it gives them not only a sense of excitement, but also a real sense of empathy, you know,
Yeah.
where they understand, okay, these guys are not just like, I don't know, clicking the mouse all day. You know, there's actually, they are sculpting something that's very complex
Yeah.
and making that thing producible and engineering it.
Yeah.
And everything needs to fit together, you know, and
I think, you know, and I think you know that from the automotive world as well. Same in the motorcycle world. The first time you do the clay bike is the first big realization, you know. Is the first where you just see like, oh shit, it's real. You know, this is this size, and this is the first time really also like of most of like clients are really interested to see the product.
Yes.
Because they can sense, they can feel something.
yeah.
And funnily, VR is getting closer to that, you know, in a certain way.
I need to revisit it, to be honest, because I've seen, I mean, just from when I first saw it versus the last time I got sent the headset about 2 years ago, and I'd already seen a huge difference between then and the first time, and I think the tools are getting way more sophisticated now. But after a while, I don't know, it's being locked in that, it's like being in a dark room too long almost. You know, you need to.
I would agree. I would not like. I don't use it personally, you know. But I would not like to have this headset on my face all day long.
No, for sure not. And that's the thing as well. Like I don't argue against it, right? But I think the tool is unbelievable. It's incredible. I think there's certain applications where it's definitely great for reviews. It's definitely great for showing, as you said, immersing the client in the process. I'm still not convinced that you are going to create a better product by sculpting in VR. That's up for debate. I think what it is great for is, I think interiors like packaging, stuff like that, it might be really good to get a proportion model. But swinging your arm around the room like a like a cowboy on a wild horse, I mean, are you going to get a better roof line because of that? I'm not convinced.
I think we all agree with this. You have to use it on specific moment in your project.
Yes.
And that's why we're still doing clay. Still we're doing prototype.
Yeah.
You know, but by experience, I know that in the past, just for example, with like super remote client like in China.
Yes.
It's a great tool
Absolutely.
to be able to, because I've seen how is it that you wait for the client to ship you a base to Europe that you can make the clay on, you know, that is like this thing just take forever, is like cost incredible amount of money, it pollutes, it's like this is the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if it creates this like, come like faster back and forth.
Yes. Yeah, and I think it's unquestionable. You really understand the proportion and the volume and the product way better in VR. I'm not discounting that. Well, yes.
No. What I was saying, but this is like not only there. Like you have all this now. If we talk also about like functional apparel, you have especially this software called Claw 3D.
Yes.
Where now they can, you know, create the pattern, assemble it on a model, make the model work, like walk, you know, move. You can simulate the weight of your fabric, you know, how it's a fold and everything. And this is like, I know that most of the fashion design company wants now to have before even they do a physical model, which is like one of the fastest things to do in fashion. They wanted to have it first in 3D.
digital.
Yeah, in digital. Yeah.
Wow.
So
Do you think that's because of the metaverse or?
I think nobody cares about the metal.
Yeah, it's all about AI now, right? Everyone's forgotten about NFTs and the metaverse.
I mean, we are now the time where anyway our attention span is about 6 months maximum or something new,
Yeah.
and then we have to move on.
Dude, I've got to be honest with you. I'm terrified of that. I'm terrified of my personal attention span. You know, where you can't even sit through a movie without checking your phone. You know, I hate that, and I'm terrified of it with the kids as well. So I'm like, I freak out. She's 8, and if she's watching something on Netflix and she starts like flicking, I'm like, I take the remote from her and I'm like, pick something now. Tell me what you want to watch. Then I'm like, I'm turning it off. Decide what you want to watch, and then we'll turn it on. You know,
good thing. Good. But
that's
it is important. It was the same at one point for me with sports. I had way too many sports.
Yeah.
You know, like road bike and mountain bike, and you do like ski and snowboard, and you go there and you do that. And now I say no, I just delete everything. I say I focus on skateboard and surf, and I will do that until I am good enough. You know what I mean? All the rest, I was like, I forget about this.
That's another thing as well. You know, it's like applying yourself to one thing and getting, I don't know, at least progressing in that one thing. Yeah. You know, not going, this is not working out, I'm going to jump onto something else.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, this is too much. I mean, it's one problem of either our generation or generation just a bit after us. Of like, you have too many choice, too many possibilities.
Yeah.
You just like candy store, you know.
Yeah.
So it's you really have to force yourself to only do one thing at a time. Only do one thing. That's why, for example, I love going to the movie. The movie, you can only watch the movie. You don't check your phone. You don't talk to your girlfriend at the same time. Yeah. You just watch a movie.
Yes, that's true.
And I think this is what I'm trying right now to apply to my life.
Yes,
you know,
yes.
Like I'm working on this project. I'm doing this.
Yes.
I'm doing that.
Yeah.
And one by one.
So, are you guys doing any clay modeling at Ride?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you've seen that last ECMA we presented with the brand Brixton, like a light adventure, like a 500cc that was done in clay. And originally, I had kind of a bit clay setup in the studio, and we're working with like freelancer for like and the 3D modeling and the clay modeling. And funny that you just mentioned, because we just opened a new workshop. So it's like the other side of the building.
Oh, wow.
And we have now this workshop with 2 clay plates and and rapid prototyping machine. Yeah. And any tools to build like real prototype, like clay and real prototype for the client really to test, to see, to watch, to present everything. So like we finally now this like really full level agency, the design agency.
Elvin, do you think that, okay, I don't want to get into the whole discussion of like, is clay dead, is it not, and whatever, like everyone's got their own opinion on it, but would you say that it's more important in bike design than it is in automotive? Because it seems like Kiska, I guess, was probably the first real bike design studio that I'd actually been inside, you know, and I've got like years of experience in the automotive space in that regard. And what the automotive industry started doing was that they would to save money, they would just do a quick rough foam mill, to assess the proportion in 3D. But it seems like with bike design, that the ability to make adjustments in real time is so much more needed because of the ergonomics.
Yes.
It's a question.
But I was thinking in general, I mean, clay is such. I mean, I'm no professional, so I'm not a motorcycle design at sense,
Yes.
but I watched them for like
Yes.
11 years, right?
Yeah.
Like 12 now, and it's such an important part of the project
Yeah.
that not only like like where you realize what you've done, but that everybody's looking forward to.
Yes.
And I know that at Kiska they still do that. They tried foam milling, they tried different things,
Yeah.
but somehow always come back to this clay,
Yeah.
phase with like a really clay modeler and the designer working side by side like
Yes.
for weeks.
Yes.
And
But it seems that and I love that. But it seems like a luxury for a small design company like design agency like Ride to have.
yes, but somehow if you want to make things right, like really perfect,
Yeah.
it's something that you have to. I mean, we must have done in the past couple scooters for maybe in China where we just did some foam just to get a sense of the proportion.
Yes.
You're going directly from the 3D modeling to the foam just to get the sense.
Yeah.
But I think, to be honest, if you want to be a really, really perfect product, you have to go through this phase. And for example, I was really sad when they stopped doing tape drawing. You know this?
The
like,
life-size tape drawing, the
yeah.
one-to-ones, yeah.
And
Yeah.
because I think there was such a nice exercise that was also forcing the designer to understand really the correlation between all his side and everything, and this where the modeler was looking at this. Of course, we all evolved. So now 3D, you mill the clay, first mill, first clay, back to 3D, we'll remill the clay again, second clay, and so. Now it's super advanced there, but I think this craftsmanship, and anyway, to my opinion now, we should treasure, and probably we treasure more and more the craftsmanship.
Yes,
it's coming back.
But do you think that digital modeling? Do you think that Helias will be considered a craftsmanship in the future of today?
Yeah, I mean,
because it's like it kind of seems a bit like a dinosaur thing now, right? I mean
if you talk about AI, yes,
exactly. Yeah, it's like yes, it's a digital thing, but for me, like to come back to my technophobia, I could not use that program at university at all. Like I just didn't get it. I was like, I don't understand this. Like, and I was so excited about doing it because I was a 3D guy. Like I could make stuff with my hands and sculpt stuff out of foam or clay or whatever. And it was such a big letdown for me because that interface is so unintuitive. And even by the time I had finished, I still couldn't use the program. And then when the crisis happened, I was kind of going, okay, the whole design thing's not happening. Maybe I should do a modeling course, which I did.
So we kind of did the same idea.
A little bit, but I think you were a lot more savvy and smart with going like, okay, I don't necessarily think I'm going to become a modeler, but if I do it, I'll understand the process a bit better, and et cetera, et cetera. And somehow, career-wise, it probably worked out better for you. But I was, anyway, I learned a lot out of it and out of that course. And I was just over the moon to be in a real design studio working in 3D. For me, it wasn't that important at that time. I wanted to be a designer, but I also wanted to be a clay modeler at some point. Like I remember seeing a picture of a guy on the Z4 body side, and he was kind of like in this laid back hat, sitting down and like just, he looked like he was enjoying it, and still like a craftsman, like really into it, like a sculptor. No, it wasn't all that stupid shit, but it was like, it was just, he was clearly in a corporate environment, but not part of the corporate bullshit. That really resonated with me. I was like, that would be really cool, but I didn't know how to get into it, you know. And to come back to the Helias thing, like I did this course, and I still, at the end of it was not long. It was like 2 weeks. I understood the menu somehow. I was like, oh, okay, that's how you create a rail, and that's how you join two surfaces together.
I must admit, like at least 20 years ago, Helias was the worst kind of program to learn
It was.
with iSemSurf.
Yeah, no, it is. But dude, the thing is, still to this day, I mean, if you look at it, it's not. It looks a bit nicer,
Yeah.
but it still is not. It's not obvious. Like pick nothing. What
Yeah.
like that's nobody explained to me like that's something you've got to do. Now I do it on autopilot because I've been doing it for so long,
Yeah.
but I don't even think about it. If I had to explain the process to somebody else, it would be. I don't know, I'd have to really break down the steps to be able to dumb it down. But for me, now when I work, I've got like 5 tools. And I'm not the guy that knows every single tool in the program. But I'm like, every year when Autodesk comes around and goes like, how can we make this program better? What tools would you like to see? I'm like, listen, ball bag. I've got 5 tools that I use. And this is the awesome shit that I make. I don't need another tool. I need a program that doesn't crash every 5 minutes. And by the way, could you not make it 25,000 euros? Could we make it a little bit more accessible for independent designers? And the bottom line, to bring this whole thing to a close, because I'm rambling now, but it took me so long to understand and really understand that program that like I'm kind of, it's difficult for me to, I'm almost unwilling to go and look at something else, you know? And it just so happens that the control that you can get with a program like that is, I mean, it's almost unbeatable. But I could definitely do with using a cheaper program like Rhino, for example. You know,
Yeah, or like
Blender, obviously,
Blender,
but
Blender.
that's kind of I mean, it's still modeling. It's still a 3D
but
thing,
it's not very
and it's a
classy.
very important part of the process. I have to say, I recognize that you can get like really fast stuff, especially early on, and you can quickly try out.
This was my side of 3D
Right,
actually, what
right.
I learned. Yeah.
I you know, but the thing is like, because time is so limited and my brain capacity is so limited, it's like, I really want to learn Blender. Like I wanted to go and do all those tutorials and everything, but it's like, do I put my energy into that, or do I, you know, do something else, go and find another project, you know, or you know, I've got to pay the bills. So I don't really have the luxury of just spending time doing it.
Yeah, you know, there is this like stupid thing of saying like, take 1 hour per day to learn something new.
Yes.
And it's so stupid, but when you do it, it actually works so
It's
well.
true. It's very
like
true.
and I apply that to my life now,
Yes.
and I'm just like, damn it, it's good. Because otherwise, when you spend 1 hour scrolling
Yes.
on your phone,
Yeah.
it's like.
But I also have the thing of like, you know, to come back to the whole German thing,
Yeah.
I should really put that hour into learning German, you
Yeah,
know,
true.
for example, in and around all the other
And
stuff.
learn a new
but
program while listening to German podcast.
That's possible, yeah. But I don't know, we have the tendency to overestimate the amount of things that we can do simultaneously.
True.
You know?
Normally,
Like,
you're on podcast, you like your ears shut for a while.
they do,
you know?
and you don't realize it, but it's so true. You
Yeah.
know, it really is like
So
that.
sometimes you miss like 15 minutes and you're just like, what? What's
yeah,
happening?
yeah. What happened? And then you go back and
Especially when you listen to your podcast.
he just switched off because he's talking about rubbish. Yeah. So, and you said that your ride's been going for a couple of years already.
Like 1.5 years, yeah, like 1 year, 7 months, yeah.
And I spoke to Craig very briefly on LinkedIn. It's actually not long after I was in Salzburg, and he was, you know, very excited about everything. And you said that, you know, you guys have grown, like, you know.
Yes, I mean we like, I think when I arrived, was June last year. We were something like four designer and Craig. And since then, we had an extra one. We had a digital modeler, Blender. We had that do also VR. We also have clay and hard modeler there, and we have like project coordinator, and
Wow.
we have like proper IT support, like everything.
Jesus,
that
fancy
needs
shit, huh?
Yeah, actually, honestly, I am so impressed by how far it went and how fast, you know.
Yes.
And I think it's just the drive of everybody, especially of Craig, of like having just this utterly excitement to create something new, you know. Like
Yes.
you had some guys here before, same, you know. You put your passion into it. It's your project. You just go.
Yeah.
and you can go fast. And so that's it. So there is a plan also to open like already like not studio, but at least like touch point, for example, in UK to have like, because we have one remote guy in UK, you know, it's called Jim Moston, and it's like to have this touch point for ride in UK, it's super important. Craig being also from UK, you know, this is like a
Yes,
important thing, you know. So like this idea to have like at least open to like to more client, to more possibilities, and the place we were in, so this like studio in Panzerhalle, we already double the size of this, so we like rent even more space, and so we can hold like proper workshop with the client and like have them like visit to see model, and so it's been fast, great, super exciting. Yeah, new people are joining. We are hiring right now.
Cool.
If you're like
Good to know.
if you're a hotshot designer, come. If you want to bring other skills, A-class modeling,
There you go.
give us a call.
I'm a concept guy. I mean, I can bring the heat.
Yeah.
But a question with regard to Ride.
Yeah.
Do you guys see an opportunity to create a product of your own in the future, or is it very much to be an agency serving other brands?
So I think the first idea of this company, so the base was like, okay, we do what we know best so far, which was two-wheel design,
Yes.
you know. And with what happened is like we started to connect the world around these two wheels, you know, so accessories and clothes. And if you go on a bike trip, you take your car, you have your tent, so maybe we can see off like tent and camping tools. So we started to connect this world, you know. And then we grew, and at one point we started to design as an exercise, an idea, what can we design, you know? And it started to grow, and the idea was like, okay, we have this cool place. We started to make this like Pizza Friday. So some people from Salzburg, from like other people that we know of a company come join. It was like, yeah, it would be cool to have like a bar, and maybe we can produce some, you know, some shirts, and I think
Like Pizza Friday shirts.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good one. And I think it's just a matter of time that maybe a product come out of this, you know.
I mean,
something.
dude, especially with the name Ride, you know,
Yeah.
it means there's real opportunity to do something like, I mean, you feel like...
You connect, yeah. It will probably come at one point. I know that this is not the aim right now, but I know how eager is everybody, especially Craig, to create something a bit unique and impactful.
Yeah.
And if it's not through our client, it will definitely be in-house, yeah?
Yeah, and completely on your own terms as
Yeah,
well. You
yeah,
know,
exactly.
you're doing something based on what you feel, and there's no pandering to somebody else's needs.
And honestly, with like the combined experience, year of experience that we have all together, and all the relations that we have, it is something that is actually
Possible.
achievable. Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Elvin, I have really enjoyed speaking to you,
Yeah.
and I think this is
Super
great.
nice,
and
thank you.
it was really nice to meet you and
Yes.
hear about your journey.
Yeah, and see you around.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Thanks, guys.